Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. D-Man here alongside me is going to be Freak for this game, and what a game it's going to be. Yes, it is the fourth and final match of the day. It's Team MRN versus the Brunch Club. And wow, we saw some epic games yesterday, Freak, from Team MRN. Crazy, crazy matches. I got the privilege to cast the bonkers base race that they had against Cloud9. And Cloud9, you know, they were the team that everybody thought were going to top that group, but no, MRN topped the group. They knocked them out. Brunch Club came through from a really tough group with Curse.
Absolutely, and we talked about this in the morning show with myself and Rivington, and we said mentioned the brace race, of course, mentioned some of the pentakills, and I think we had another one today. You cast the pentakill today as well.
I've had two pentakills so far.
Nice,
I'm doing all right.
No, see, I didn't turkey you, by the way.
You didn't turkey me, no.
Looking
that's
out for
good.
you. But yeah, you got to cast the awesome. You got to cast the base race. The MRN crazy comebacks both times. Both those games really they looked pretty sketchy. You talked about Cloud9 being the heavy favorite there. You know, and everyone did kind of believe that they were the team to beat coming from that group. And MRN really proved the world wrong. MRN himself was talking, and he said, "Who would have guessed that we would have 2-0'd the group? Who honestly would have guessed that MRN would have 2-0'd the group? Not many would have." But they proved it. They came through 2-0.
I thought they were going to get through, but I thought they would have been the second place team. But it turns out that it's awesome because it's the brothers facing each other. We just heard Riv and Wheat talking about it. Claky D and Nick Wu, they are legitimate full-on brothers. They used to be in the same team. They used to both be in MRN together back in, I think it was June or something like that. So a while ago back. MRN's had many different forms, but this is a legitimate chance for both of these brothers to make it through. One of them almost certainly, well, one of them is 100% through.
Exactly, guaranteed.
Another one could sneak through tomorrow, who knows. Tomorrow, though, is a tough, tough day, so today is the day you want to do it.
Today is the day you definitely want to win. Be that 7th team out of 8 to join the Season 3 Championship Series in North America. Tomorrow, we've got 4 teams, down to 2, down to 1. That's where it's going to be at. And, yeah, you've just got every single match. I mean, every single match of the entire weekend, of course, but certainly every single match from today forward is just so incredibly important for these guys. You know, we talked over and over what it meant to be a salaried player. You heard them, the players themselves, the words out of their mouths, what it meant to get this opportunity, what they would do to do this. You know, a lot of them, again, taking time off of school, work, delaying their lives and saying, no, we're going to focus on this. This is what we want to do. This is where our lives need to lead. 6 have gotten there so far. We're looking for the 7th. We're going to find that out in just a couple hours.
And the pressure on these guys is immense. I mean, these two teams actually, nobody really favored. So MRN are the only team that have come through from the online qualifiers. Brunch Club came through. Actually, quite a few people called and said, I think TBC could make this.
Yeah.
Curse, I remember distinctly when we were in their interview, they reckon they could make it through. They definitely thought they were going to be second. And, you know, the fact is, they could make it through. And both teams, they're not massively experienced. I think it's safe to say that. They're not hugely experienced. Definitely MRN. They've been together for, what, 3 weeks?
Sure, and there's some LAN experience. You're right. The rosters themselves on both sides are fairly new overall.
Yeah.
They're up and coming, kind of created together. These guys, a lot of them have bounced around teams for a while. Trooper, you know, putting together Troopers, and then you know, eventually all that. Yeah, he's kind of been around trying to get teams together. Lauda Mortis there on the jungle. He's been around. He's played a couple of LANs there. He's a very, very strong player, but you never quite know, you know, what it's going to amount to. You can put a lot of good players together, but until you get a team that works together cohesively, you talk about Curse's Voyboy, who's been on a lot of the top American teams here. He's played for, what, 3 of the teams that are in the Season 3 Championship Series here, now landing on Curse, and had to find a team that fit his play style.
Yeah.
That's actually really, really relevant. You can't just put players together and expect it to work. You've got to get a team that meshes, and we're going to see if these guys do mesh well.
And speaking of Voyboy, it was great to see him. We were actually outside watching on the TV screens when you were doing the analyst, and they were talking about actually what they said. And like Voyboy, and Saint Vicious was like, oh my god, what are you doing? Why didn't you ping it? Why didn't you tell us? And Voyboy's like, don't worry, I got this.
1v2, no problem.
1v5, I think it turned in, wasn't it? It just went straight in there. And then they fell at it. And like Element said he didn't understand why Shouster just turned around with Karthus and just walked straight towards him. He's like, well, I'm just going to feed you then. Before he got Defile down, before he got anything done. And there was a lot of things in that fight that just worked away. And that experience is a big part of it.
Absolutely.
So who is the most experienced, do you think, between these two teams? They've all got, like you say, Lauda Mortis in there. They've got players that have been to events, that have been across multiple teams. But collectively, who is the most experienced between these two?
I gotta like MRN a little bit more here because they've got a lot of players with a lot of different experience. So Mega Zero, I played with him back in beta. We did actually pretty well in tournaments together back online. He's got a lot of experience being in finals. He's definitely played a large number of tournaments. Was a Bloodline Champions winner at DreamHack, right actually opposite the Season 1 finals. You know, his brother, Tree Eskimo, has a bunch of LAN experience as well, as though it like telepathically applies. You've got their AD carry Heartbeat is on the UC Irvine, 3-time national collegiate champion team. You know, they played at Lone Star Clash 2 just a few months ago. A lot of these guys have LAN experience. Claky D, also the jungler, again, LAN experience on a lot of these guys, and that's so important when you get down to the wire. You've got incredibly important matches. It's being able to realize, I've done this before. Being calm like Curse was is so important.
Well, it has been fantastic stuff. I mean, looking at this, Nick Wu coming into this as the top laner, there's a chance they even could be fighting each other. I mean, it's almost certainly going to happen, but I'm thinking early on, because Clacky D's coming from the jungle, and he's going to be like, I'm gonna gank the top because my brother's there.
Some junglers do camp top lanes. We saw that throughout day one. It's been a pretty good strategy overall. In fact, kind of the Void Boy style of play is, and actually the general European style of play, from what was said, and the Koreans too specifically, is the top laner's role is to pull jungle aggro. It's to get everyone else to be ignored by the jungler because you're going to play so aggressively that they'll camp you and they'll try to deal with you over and over this isolated one-on-one lane, and it frees your team up. And if Nick Wu can constantly pull his brother over, I mean, you expect he's going to get egged on, right? Friendly rivalry, he's going to be like, come gank me, bro, come gank me, Claky D, come do this. And Nick Wu can pull him away from the rest of his team.
He can pull him away. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's see these two teams feel about facing off against each other for the spot in Season 3.
We're very, very close. We hang out every day.
Throughout like all of our life, Clark and I have been pretty competitive. Going against him, I know I'd be more nervous than going up against anybody else. Because I want to beat my brother, you know, I also want to impress my own brother, but at the same time, it's just those nerves are going to be there, like, I don't know, it's just my brother.
Some of you may not know, but my younger brother is in the brunch club, so it's going to be very interesting. I actually started playing League of Legends because of my little brother, so he's the one that got me into the game. This was our ideal situation for us to make it into the group of 8 and play each other, but we're both really happy because one of us is guaranteed to make it.
Yeah, I was rooting for the Team MRN. I was rooting for Claky D here.
Root for Team MRN.
It's great to see, you know, that they are so supportive of one another.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll get it and they'll be like, oh no, one of us is going to get knocked out. But they are just genuinely, you can see the big smiles on their face, so happy about the fact that they're going to be there. They're going to be, one of them is now going to be a salaried player.
Exactly, and a lot of this comes as a shock to some of these players because they came in as more or less underdogs. You look at teams like Curse.
Some of them came in as complete unknowns.
Oh, completely. And you look at teams like Curse and Fear, and you're like, yeah, you expect them. But I actually just read the Brunch Club's AMA, and they were like, you know, getting asked questions, what would it be like to be in Season 3? And they're like, I mean, we got a shot, but I don't know, right? And they're not really like
100% confident.
It's them against the
Unlike
world.
Man.
Yeah, you got 5 spots in a 16-team tournament. It just kind of feels like you against the world, but you're down here to the top 8, and you're like, we really have a shot here. Like this could really, and it starts to sink in, especially when you're an underdog. You don't, I mean, you think about it a little bit, but you don't fully realize what that means, and you kind of get there, and you're like, no, seriously, we're one best of 3 away. Like we're almost there. Like we're almost going to get this, and you kind of stutter as you think about it and realize that you're this close.
And let's see how close they are going to be, because the picks and bans are underway, and you can see the bans flying in thick and fast. They would have had a night to prepare themselves. It is going to be Malphite, Evelyn, and Jace, Jarvan, Riven, and Nivea. So kind of expected bans there, of course. Targeting Claky D, targeting Mega Zero there, targeting Echo. These are standard bans we've heard. You just don't give them.
Exactly. These are bans.
Oh, Kha'Zix made it through.
That's true, but Nunu as well. You've seen a lot of these hotly contested champions. Amumu up there as well as one of these big picks. These are bans, honestly, from Brunch Club. I don't even expect to change no matter what happens, because they saw what happened when you gave Mega Zero Riven. They saw Claky D picked Jarvan every single time he could, and they know about Echoes and Nivea. These are champions you just can't give the other roster unless you first pick them yourself.
Well, they're waiting a while. They haven't quite locked in Kha'Zix yet. They're just waiting to see who else is going to be there. Nunu was the first pick, though, for MRN, so they're going to be happy with that. Do you think they're going to be using that straight Blood Boil? What are we expecting alongside that? We've seen a Vayne today with Blood Boil. We've seen some Twitches as well.
I like Caitlyn the most, and actually Heartbeat is someone I've seen specifically on Caitlyn do very, very well. And it's nice because the rest of their team draws bans so much, they actually get to run Nunu quite a bit. Nunu Kate is really my guess here as the sort of composition, especially when you run something or against something like Shen and Kha'Zix. Anything short range is going to get eviscerated. Someone like Nunu is not very defensive. It's not a Sona or a Janna or a Lulu that bursts health onto you. Nunu does not stop Shen or Kha'Zix from killing your AD carry.
Okay, so the question is, do we think that's a mid lane or a top lane Kha'Zix? I
Kha'Zix-
mean, it could be jungle. It could be anything, really.
It could be. I would generally expect to see Shen more than Kha'Zix in the jungle.
Yeah.
You get a little bit less gold in the jungle than you do in a solo lane typically in League, unless you have phenomenal ganking power. And Kha'Zix being that mid to late game ganking terror, you want to get him somewhere where he's fed. The safe thing for Brunch Club is they can wait for a good matchup and send him wherever they want. Blindly, I'm going to say mid, though.
So we see what they're going to respond to this one. Marn, are they going to pull out something crazy? Marn actually yesterday told us the exact team comp 2 games before the second match. It was like, this is what we're going to run. Boom, 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 boom. Ran it all out. I had Urgot in there. I think Aurelia was in there.
Tarek, Aurelia top. Like, mid was Ari. And then those were all the champions.
And we were like, oh, yeah, but that's quite normal. And then sure enough, second game, there was the exact
Literally all
lineup.
5
We're like, wow,
champions.
Marn wasn't lying. But you never quite know when he's telling you these things. Claky D is going to be on Nocturne. Looks like the jungle is going to be set up there. What are we expecting? There is the Caitlyn, of course. You managed to call that one. See if you could take some more look with this.
All right, so looking at their bottom lane, they know they have to deal with Nunu Kate. Realistically, you could kind of all in this one. I'm trying to think. Graves is my random blind pick here for the AD carry. I don't remember Brunchy all that well, unfortunately. Sona's been hotly contested, and I'm just completely wrong. So
It's kind of a standard pick, though, down that bottom lane, or
Yeah.
duo lane. You never quite know. I tend to call it duo lane these days because you never quite know where it's going to end up. Sona Ez, a lot of poke there. We've seen that quite a lot today. We saw it a lot yesterday. It's a pretty standard pick. I mean, it was used heavily in Season 2 as well.
yeah, and it's just so strong as well. There's so much that you can do with it. Looking at top lane real quick, I'm going to blindly guess Aurelia, and you can do Orianna at this point, really. It gives you really good initiation if they go Aurelia, Orianna. But yeah, the Sona Ezreal lane does 2 things amazingly well. They lane super strong. They can deal with almost any composition. Sona can play far enough back. She's pretty much immune to Nunu poke. Sona is really considered the counter lane to Nunu because Nunu has no tools to deal with her. None whatsoever. It's Caitlyn shooting people and Nunu hiding and blood boiling her until an engagement. But Sona Ezreal, they won't engage. They'll sit back and they'll poke. And Nunu has no sustain, so that poke will stick, and they will deal the damage constantly, and there's nothing they can do in response. So there's a really good system here for Sona Ezreal, even in a heads up.
Yeah, you can see the teams on your screen there. Don't be confused, that's not Trieste in the corner. It is Mega Zero. He's got Claky D next to him as well. Orianna being selected, you called that one out, and there is going to be the Cho'Gath. So this means it's going to be a Cho'Gath top lane for Mega Zero.
Almost definitely, yes. I can't think of another setup that would really work here. And this kind of reads to me as a 2-on-1 potentially because Cho'Gath is a very, very good 2-on-1. He's really good especially at keeping the lane from pushing and losing his turret. You can keep getting Rupture out there, use Feral Scream, and keep your wave from getting crushed to your turret, which delays the 3-on-1 dive, keeps your turret from going down. And when you've got a lane like Kate Nunu, you can push really fast yourself. So practically going for a 2-on-1, letting Cho'Gath suffer, but killing the enemy turret fast, that's a good setup.
And there's Nick Wu on your screens, just waiting to see what this final pick will be. Loudermorn is next to him. There's a lot of discussions going between them. Guessing that's going to be Chupa to the left as well. There is Nick Wu. And of course, Zed was selected a number of times by Nick Wu the other day, so that means it's going to be Nick Wu on Nick Wu on Zed top, Kha'Zix mid, as you called it.
So Zed, I think it's his 3rd time now on Zed. I know it's been at least twice.
Yes, definitely.
They've played 3 games so far in this tournament. It's his go-to champion. Zed's actually a decent 1 versus 2. Very similar actually to what Cho'Gath can do with the area of effect clear. The difficulty is that he doesn't have health sustain like Cho'Gath does. Cho'Gath's passive, for those who don't know, when he last hits a minion or champion, he gets some health and mana back. Well, Zed's an energy champion. Mana's not a concern to him. His health sustain, it'll be a little bit more suspect, but a 1v2 is not the worst thing here for Nick Wu.
And he's quite a skillful champion to use.
Yes. He's actually very difficult to play. He's very skill shot based. You work with the Shadow Clone over and over. We've actually seen amazing moves with him as well because you can toss out the Shadow Clone and switch places with it. You can also blink out of the air with the ultimate and then teleport to your opposition. So you can dodge skill shots with it. You could dodge Orianna shockwaves with that kind of thing. You can kind of mess with Nocturne and Cho'Gath and Caitlyn and do all these fun things with that champion. Zed, is just a machine for trickery.
So what are we expecting overall between these two team comps? They're very different from the overall comps we've seen throughout the day.
They are very, very different. The Brunch Club I can mostly kind of categorize as assassination. Kha'Zix, Shen, Zed, they're all going to go in and try to take something down very, very, very quickly, and they'll more or less be able to. They should have pretty good success here, and Sona and Ezreal can both contribute well. Sona's got cooldown, crowd control, and Ezreal's very self-sufficient. He can sit in the back and get away from most things. Now for Marn, it's pretty much Team Caitlyn here. They've got Cho'Gath, Nocturne, and Nunu in the front lines. They're going to be very, very beefy and hard to deal with, and Orianna's going to be able to defend a blood-boiled Caitlyn.
Well, let's see, ladies and gentlemen, the game is getting underway, and there it is on your screens. It is Team Marn as the blue team. It is the Brunch Club as the red team. Who will take the 4th spot in Season 3? 2 more left up for third one. The 5th and final one will be found out tomorrow. That will be Day 3 of the North American Season 3 qualifiers. Live qualifiers here in Los Angeles in the brand new Riot Studios. The teams have all been visited. We've whittled it down from 16. We have the 2 remaining in Day 2, and there will be 4 tomorrow. It is crunch time for these guys.
It is. It's going to be a very brutal battle here. The last match of the day, a best of 3 to determine the 7th spot here. And Marn is doing something very interesting. They're actually baiting out a ward, and they want to kill it as soon as it comes out. This place where they are in the brush, many teams offensively ward the enemy Wraith brush, and they're kind of predicting that. It's not coming, but if it comes out, they can easily pick that down with Echo and Heartbeat.
I feel LEB is looking towards maybe doing it, though. Here she comes.
He's moving around. He's got wards.
Say. Sona, I think, oh, Clicky D's going to show himself.
I'm going to look for vision. They don't see him whatsoever. LEB not really running across the map here. He's finally making the move. There's the ward, and they'd already left.
Just perfect timing. And to be fair, I think where he placed it, they were probably a little bit too far away to get the 3 direct hits.
It would have been hard, but, I mean, that brush specifically, you can catch them if they hard invade.
Oh, Scara will be watching that and thinking, how did we do that?
Yeah,
sorry, Scara, I know you're watching. Everybody's seen that video.
Absolutely, man. You know, Scara's like always on Twitter. He's got so many predictions every game, and now he's going to flame you for calling him out.
Hey, that's a YouTube clip that's just like... It was just his facial expressions. Nevertheless, we've been calling Scara out for the last 2 games. I feel I've been picking on him a little bit. Team Marn are starting off. It is Clicky D on the red, and Lana Mornis is going to be taking the blue buff. So we do have the 2 duo lanes down the bottom. So going from top to bottom, Freak, let's go through this. Mega Zero on Cho'Gath, Battlecast Cho'Gath, of course, against Nick Wu on Zed.
This lane's going to pretty much become a farm fest where Nick Wu's going to like being the one who's more farmed at the end here. It'll be very difficult for him to push out Mega Zero. Cho'Gath is very sustainy and tanky. He's got a flask early on. He's not going to fall over, and he doesn't have many tools to push out Nick Wu, so just expect minion kills all over the place for these guys.
So they're going to be farming away. Let's have a look towards the middle. You can see Kha'Zix, of course, versus Orianna. This is not a battle I've seen too often.
It's a very volatile matchup. Orianna has very, very low base defenses, but you can see at level 1, 34 armor on her. She knows she's fighting an attack damage assassin, has got a lot of armor from her runes and masteries here to try to survive this matchup. Chuper, generally speaking, is going to have a rough time early on being dealt a lot of damage because he's melee in Orianna's range, but around level 5 it starts to flip. Chuper's got good damage here.
So Clicky D picking up the blue buff and moving around his business. We also see that Shen has his. This duo lane down the bottom, take us through it. It's I guess of a late game one.
It is. So Ezreal Sona's going to try to make the early moves here, and they've got a little bit better jungle pressure as well. Shen's going to outgank Nocturne pre-6, but it's going to be how well can Heartbeat and Atomic kind of not take damage, and he's got Heartbeat to late game.
And as we see, poke back and forward. Oh, I think Brunch missed the major minion there, which is a big chunk of gold that you don't want to be missing. We are seeing Clicky D coming in towards Chupa. He's going to try and force him to burn anything. Really trying to force him to miss the siege minion, but it didn't matter. He'd already got it.
Exactly, and Chuper, the thing is, he's got Leap at level 2, and he's going to never use that offensively because he knows that ganks are scary. A 600 range move block is a great thing to save.
Oh, and he tried to get the last hit there. Q didn't quite kill it. Catches it out with the W, the Void Spikes. The poke back and forward down the bottom. This is going to continue. It's going to be a close thing. Remember, the sustain is really where the Brunch Club here. Sona's going to be topping off Brunch as much as he can. Take us through some of the items you're seeing at the start here, because you can see Ezreal started with the longsword.
So there's two main, actually I guess 3 main builds you see from AD carries. Longsword, 2 potions, you kind of pick on the aggressive lane. If you're the one who's going to win, 10 extra bonus damage at level 1 gives you a lot of power poking your opponents down. And he's got a Sona on his lane, so he's not really worried about getting too many health potions. Meanwhile, Heartbeat running with 3 health potions, getting boots of speed so he can run away from bad situations, chase them down if it's a good one, and just a little bit more sustain in that lane overall.
So what do we think? I mean, we've been talking about obviously the Hunter's Machete is almost a default for everyone now. But more about these Crystalline Flasks. The Crystalline Flasks have been excessively used, I think, this weekend.
It's a very safe item, basically. It's 300 health over 30 seconds, more or less, and 120 mana. It only costs 225 gold. So you do the math on that, you go back to base maybe 3 or 4 times, and it becomes gold efficient compared to health potions. So if you're in a situation where you know you'll take poke constantly, you buy one.
Well, Nick Wu walking straight in. He knew that he was coming there because the ping had already gone down, but he went and almost face-checked in there just to get that ward down, just to say, hey, Clickety, I'm your brother. I know you're coming.
Yeah, the ward coverage, though, definitely necessary. He has to be a little bit fearful of the Nocturne Tether, because one of the core ability combos of Zed in lane relies on using the Shadow actively for damage.
Oh, and the Rupture catches on towards Nick Wu. Can he give me first blood? He's going to get his brother all over in the field. He's just going to go up, and it's his brother that gets him. It's Claky D taking down Nick Wu, and that is the way. Could it be the start of the whole fight? Atomic now coming back in there, puts the exhaust down towards Loudermore. His Heartbeat's going to flash away from this one, and Atomic is going to go down. It's one traded back, and it's Loudermore that picks it up. Both junglers with a kill.
That's a really, really good sort of counter gank right there at the bottom. Heartbeat actually buying some time against Loud Mortis, but that was actually amazing, amazing timing by Mega Zero. He saved Feral Scream until right as Nick Wu put down the Shadow Clone. And so he was silenced for so long, he couldn't switch places and gain any distance with it. If he'd been able to swap, he'd have been fine. But he wasn't able to swap places, just got fear tethered, and that was all she wrote.
That was indeed all she wrote. 6 minutes 20 gone in the game. And items starting to come out there, and that kill down the bottom is given a Sightstone straight away to LEB.
And that's interesting because it's not necessarily all that effective. He's fighting up against a Nocturne jungle, and Nocturne is not far from level 6. He's a third of the way through level 5, so in about a minute and a half, he's going to be level 6, have that paranoia, and the gank range from that spell is so long that it's very hard to ward against it. Sona's going to have to go very far into the enemy jungle to spot those kinds of ganks. The Sightstone doesn't actually mean that much.
So Chupa's evolved the Void Spikes, as you would expect, kind of default for Kha'Zix in mid. Let's have a look towards the top. What do we see? Nick Wu. Are we going to see some aggression here now? Now that he's hit 6, is he likely to try and make a move on Mega Zero?
Well, first in the mid lane, actually, Claky D in a bit of a spat with Chuper. Chuper's playing a bit aggressively, knocking him back a little bit. Generally speaking, Nick Wu can still play aggressive. He's got good damage out, but the problem is it's just so hard to chunk down Mega Zero. He's got a cloth armor, he's been back to base, recharged the Crystalline Flask. Any damage he makes is pretty much going to go nowhere. It's almost not worth it. He'd rather just save the cooldown so he can escape situations.
Well, he may well have to use that to escape, especially if his brother comes a knocking again. Yeah. Mortis is heading down the bottom. There is no ward, but Clinky D, oh, did he see it? I don't think he saw him, you know. I'm almost certain because he would have gone into that bush, and instead he's going to go for the pink ward. He just passed on by, and I think Louder Mortis, is he going to cancel? Did he think he got sought?
Let me find him. He's still waiting around there in the bottom lane. He's recalling and stopping and recalling. Atomic N is right there. He's like trying to make him ward so he's in range for Shadow Dash.
You see Chupa. They realise now, because they've just seen Claky D pass that ward, so now Louder Mortis knows in that bottom lane that he's not going to be there. Nick Wu is going to poke back on forward. He's actually got a heck of a lot more CS than Mega Zero currently in that top lane. Louder Mortis has gone back down the bottom. Nick Wu keeps poking on towards Mega Zero there. He's got a 20 CS difference.
He's doing a really good job. Mega Zero's honestly playing a little bit afraid. Nick Wu's got so much damage output. I mean, you saw Mega, right? He went for the Crystalline Flask. He grabbed the fast cloth armor. He's a bit afraid of this matchup.
He is afraid of this matchup, and he's already got, you see that Ruby Crystal as well. He's got literally no damage at all. Just building all health at the moment. LEB gets a poke down on towards Atomic and Heartbeat. And Brunch is going to continue to try and push on towards his turret while firing a couple of Qs off. Claky D is sitting in the distance. Has got red buff, but Nick Wu has already gone way back. Just returning out there. He was kind of sensing, his spider senses were tingling. He's like, I can sense my brother. He's close.
That's an OP strat, man. If your brother jungles and you just like can sense him nearby, like, you're immune to ganks. Like that's better than the Sixth Sense, like that a lot of top laners have. You just know he's coming. I actually want to point out something really random. So Heartbeat is running 1 critical strike chance mark. He's got 1 crit chance here because the theory behind it is that you don't lose a lot by losing 1 attack damage, but if you get a random crit in a duel, it'll just turn the battle in your favor, and you just run it, and you never know when it comes into favor.
You never know. It may just become pure luck moment. Echo eating a couple of void spikes. Chupa just letting that lane push out. Let's have a look. I mean, 97 to 89. That's still pretty even, that mid lane.
It is, absolutely. This is a lane where, again, the early advantage did go to Orianna. Just being melee against range is a difficult situation for Chuper, but it's going to start getting a lot better now. Now that he's got the evolved spike racks, and now that he's got a blue buff, he's got amazing wave clearing, and he can just start roaming around and making ganks happen, and even start pressing on Echo.
Yeah, and he realized that he'd been spotted. Everybody had backed away. Comes back, clears the wave, comes in, and Echo clears out that wave. Echo, of course, pretty much MVP, certainly of game 1, maybe even of game 2 as well. And Chupa continuing to look for something. You can see Claky D, the ping goes down. Lattimornis is within range. You can see he's in that mid-range at the moment, but nothing comes from it. And Claky D, oh, he's going to go in towards Echo, and Echo again backs off. Everybody really avoiding the damage, and this is kind of the tense first game that we'd expect from these two.
The difficulty is that the Brunch Club is so explosive in the team competition, or composition rather, that Marn can't really make... Oh, bottom lane, a whole lot of damage. Atomic End getting chunked down. Heartbeat cleansing away and getting out of there. That was just a great... it was a flash crescendo out from LEB, and of course, what are you going to do when you're new to when you get flash crescendo? Probably die.
Probably die, especially when True Shot Barrage was almost certainly going to hit you. Heartbeat now in a little bit of trouble as well. Lattimornis heading down here. They're just going to not wait for him and go straight in there. There's the exhaust, and you can see the tower damage hitting on towards LEB. Standing item was used. I'm not sure if it was quite needed, but it certainly can't hurt. And they may as well put a chunk of damage down to the turret. This is where we see whether they want to take the turret early, and it looks like they do.
That was a really, really nice play there. LEB, again, was the one to pull turret aggro. That is so important that you figure out who's got the turret focusing them, because you can always leave range. As long as you're paying attention, you can leave turret range in time to not die, but you need the AD carry there swinging. If he has to kite a turret, he's got no damage output anymore. I actually checked LEB's health bar, so the Shen shield is 250. She was at about 300 with the shield pop, so would have just barely lived, but better safe than sorry.
Better safe than sorry, and you never knew quite where the rest of the team was. The Claky D could have been nearby, so why not be safe?
And it's just a good move overall. Mega Zero is actually rushing for a Warmog's armor himself because, again, this lane still looks a little bit tough to him. He's down 13 minions, and Warmog's, in addition to a bunch of bonus health, gives you health regeneration as a percentage of your max health. With Warmog's giving you health and being Shogat, you've got good regen from that item.
So Dragon being picked up here, maybe by Marn. Are they going to react? True Shot Barrage is about to whistle past, is a little bit too early, but Claky D is taken down very low. Chupa comes in. Is the rest of the team going to respond? He's jumped in towards them. Hasn't managed to land the Void Spikes yet. He's taken very low. Pops his ultimate. He's just going to try and catch on towards Heartbeat. Still coming in there. Paranoia from Claky D just saving the day, as does Absolute Zero. Really just completely defensive work there. The rest of the team weren't quite on the same wavelength.
Yeah, not quite. It was interesting, though, because Chuper was actually pretty close to taking down Heartbeat. Heartbeat was at half or even higher than that, and something got dropped to a quarter, and there was one charge still left of Chuper's ultimate. When he stealthed, he caused Paranoia to get used, and he caused Nunu to channel Absolute Zero as defensive measures, but he just walked out. So he actually burned 2 extra ultimates for his.
For one, and there's Brunch picking up the bottom lane. So, damage-wise, massive difference currently, because the BF sword has been picked up by Brunch.
And that's him having such a safe lane. That's him saying, I've got Sona on my lane, I've got a giant minion kill lead, we've gotten those kills early on as well from the flash crescendos and whatnot. He just buys the biggest item he can, a BF sword.
And there's Chupa just being a pain in the mid lane, catching the Void Spikes onto Echo. Echo comes back and throws the ball in his face and hopes that kind of puts him off, but he doesn't seem too off-put by this one. The CS difference is with Echo currently. He's been zipping off, but Chupa's been trying to make things happen, but they're going to become very different champions as this team game starts.
And Echo's been spending a lot of time going back and taking Wolves and Wraiths over and over, Chuper's been spending a lot of time going into the enemy Wraith camp and trying to catch someone off. That's really what Kha'Zix is so good at, is trying to catch someone and killing them when they're isolated, alone in the jungle. He's been looking there very, very frequently. You can see the offensive ward actually down by the Wraith camp. It's something that Chuper's been using, trying to find those kills. And Echo's just been playing the farm game. He's been looking for minion kills over and over again.
And speaking of the farm game, the top two have been doing just that, 106 to 113. Brutalizer now picked up by Nick Wu, starting to build up their damage. Complete opposite for Mega Zero. He is going the full tank route.
And that's just what he needs to do, really. He's actually, I take that back, so he upgrades to a Ninja Tabby, and this could be actually a very fast Randuin's Omen for Mega Zero. The Giant's Belt plus Ruby Crystal kind of threw me off there, but he's just going to get stats early on. The Warden's Mail, though, very, very good at keeping people off his back. And he is going to be that frontline tank, because the combo they're going for here is hardcore initiation with Echo on top of one of the melee champions.
And they're going to get the taunts on towards Mega Zero. He comes in, but the ultimate coming out from Nick Wu. Is it going to be enough? Can he catch the damage on him? No, he can't. Very nice. The rupture from Mega Zero was just enough to defend himself.
And that was a beautifully placed one, too. He actually landed that on both champions at pretty much max diameter there, kind of getting him on both edges of that circle.
Oh, Nick Wu flashing out of Claky D there. Claky D just forcing the issue, but a flash was burned. So that all works with a simple fear leash. That's all he used.
That was actually really good reflexes by Claky D as well. He actually watched for the shadow. Oh my gosh, here comes the clone in mid.
And that's going to be Chupa jumping in. Does manage to catch the slowdown, and there's the taunt coming in, and they just catch out. It's not going to be enough. There's going to be Shockwave is going to be taken down. Louder Mortis is going to catch on towards Claky D. There's the lead. Jump straight in. Chupa, and then it's going to be crescendo, and that is almost certainly a clean sweep there, and that is a double kill in the mid lane, and wow, that could be a turret to follow.
That is going to be their turret, 5-1. Great opening. Actually, in the top lane, Nick Wu burning to death with Ignite. And he is going to go down. Nice job, Mega Zero, picking that one up as a counter. But that is what Brunch Club does, man. They are good at jumping onto people.
They're continuing pushing this mid lane, and they're going to get a lot of damage down on this inner turret. Finally, Kane's coming across. You can see Atomic is trying to do it, but this is going to be an inner turret taken down. A great turn and push from the Brunch Club.
What team coordination there. Chuper had already finished a Bloodthirster prior to those fights all going down. Brunch, you just picked one up there on Ezreal, so there was a big spike in power here that Marn has to try to react to. They've got a tanky guy on Marn. They're trying, or on Shogun, I should say. They're trying to catch up on Nocturne. Echo's going to be useful, but Heartbeat has just a BF sword, and I'm expecting him to go Infinity Edge more so than Bloodthirster here on Caitlyn, so he's got a long road ahead of him.
Mega Zero may well become a beast in this top lane though. He's farming between the waves at the moment. Just keeping that turret occupied. He's going to get turned back on towards the turret. As we do see Nick Wu coming down there. So that is the middle turret now gone down. So Marn picking up their first turret of the game. So as it stands, both mid outer turrets down. The top one, of course, is being very heavily contested by Mega Zero there. Nick Wu came back and took a lot of damage. I don't think Nick Wu can get even close to 1v1 in Mega Zero now.
Realistically, no. Nick Wu is itemizing much more for killing squishy champions and sustaining in lane. The Doran's Blade, the Vampiric Scepter, the Brutalizer, those aren't aimed at killing off Cho'Gath. Those are aimed at killing off people like Caitlyn. Mega Zero, though, you know, looking back at the games that Marn has played, they've all been comeback wins. You can't count 1,500 gold as much of a deficit. But also, they've been coming off of Mega Zero being on champions like Aurelia and champions like Riven. Big playmakers who kill things and sustain through a fight. Being on Cho'Gath, now Mega was one of the first guys to adopt Cho'Gath back in beta 3.5 years ago, but I still kind of, for Marn's sake, would rather see him on a bigger playmaker like Aurelia here.
And we'll see how that plays out. Looks like the Dragon is going to be up in 30 seconds time. Pink Ward gets put down and the Brunch Club clear out Marn's ward. And now Marn are going to have to react to this one. Chupa's just clearing out that wave. He's going to shove that siege line down in towards their inhibitor turret. Needs to be careful that the rest of the team doesn't rotate around and pick him up on the way through. Of course, the top lane turret also being pushed by Louder Mortis at the moment. So they're keeping the distance on there. They can see the pressure coming down, but it is here.
There's no ult from Shen. His ult's still down. This is really important. It's a full 5-on-4 if they want to go for this.
Full 5-on-4. Stand United will be available in around about 10 seconds time though, so it's not far off They are going to keep the poke on. They're going to try and distract them as much as possible. Stand United, I'm keeping my eye to see whether it's going to be available. It is going to get picked up by Clankey D. Clankey D turns straight onto his brother. The fear leash, is it going to go off? No, because Nick Wu flashed straight through, and that's a difficult flash to do. Chupa turns back on towards Clankey D. Chupa now in trouble. It's going to have to leap away from that one. Atomic tries to catch on towards him. There's Stand United. They do come in, but it's going to be absolute zero. The true shot barrage comes across, but it doesn't matter. Nick Wu's gone down. Laudamon is now in trouble. The crescendo comes across. We see a dancing Mega Zero, but it's not going to be enough. Clankey D taken down very low. Echo taken down very low. A number of people. Heartbeat takes down Chupa. There goes Clankey D. Now they're going to turn on towards it. Brunch is in the ideal position to clean up here, but the speed boost, oh, the Q from Brunch there, absolutely catching him. Laudamon is not quite catching the full length taunt, and everybody will back away. It was a 2-for-2 fight, but the Dragon ultimately was picked up by Man.
And hands off to Mega Zero, trusting his jungler there. I was watching to see if he would feast Dragon. It's tempting to make sure you get that kill, but he said, no, I trust you, Clankey D. You smite that, we'll go from there. And honestly, the fight went so long, his smite is almost back up from cooldown from that battle. And there was a really, really good battle there. The unfortunate thing for Laudamortis was he teleported right on top of a full-channeled Nunu ultimate, and that was just a lot of very quick deaths there. A lot of damage on Laudamortis. The quick kill onto Nick Wu in the beginning of that battle is a good play.
Well, you do see BF Sword being added to Nick Wu, so despite the fact he's 0-3, not really being able to make too much of a benefit here. There's going to be a heck of a lot of damage, but surely they can tailor towards that. They can just stack out that armor. You can see the Randians already from Mega Zero, like you mentioned. But they're going to be up against, effectively, I guess, 3 Bloodthirsters eventually.
They will be against 3 Bloodthirsters. They're going to be against probably 3 Last Whispers. In fact, that's the next item for Chuper, and it's the next item for this Ezreal right here. I'm wondering who's going to be the one to pick up Black Cleaver. To me, the best guy for that is Nick Wu.
Oh, Chupa's been caught out here. He's going to have to jump away, but he's not going to make it because the feast from Mega Zero came in. They timed that perfectly with the silence.
Exactly, and whenever you've got a big silence like that, a almost 3-second disable.
Oh, Clankey D.
LEB, you're in a bad place.
LEB does get caught out, but his AD carry came in just in time. He was around at the red buff in time to sort him out. He did manage to catch the static shift. Nick Wu caught out there. Now he's going to get silenced. The shockwave comes in. Nick Wu drops, and Mana turning this game on its head.
That crowd control combo is so massive for them. Most of these enemy champions rely on their abilities to escape from bad situations. The silence again on Brunch.
Oh, Brunch getting caught out. Is it going to be enough? Clankey D turns back around. They want to finish off the tower. That's going to be the True Shot Barrage. True Shot Barrage takes down Clankey D. Brunch manages to pick up one. Can they turn any more from this one? Man turn tail and run.
And that, again, you know, this team relies on abilities to escape from situations. You saw how much damage Brunch you took on Ezreal because of a Cho'Gath silence. Ice Blast into silence. That Ezreal's not going anywhere for 3 seconds.
Well, as it stands, you mentioned how Mega Zero was the big player, and certainly he has caught everyone out so far. It's been the ruptures, it's been the feast, it's been the silences that's managed to keep people pinned. Mega Zero now joining the fray has definitely started to turn things in Marn's favor, and of course you've also got this Nunu Caitlyn combo.
And that is just going to be brutal. That's kind of the ticking time bomb that's going to scare the enemy team until you get triple Last Whisper and even maybe a Black Cleaver on top of that. And now he's got the Brutalizer here, Nick Wu. He might turn that into a Black Cleaver before too terribly long, but until you really get to that penetration status where you get through the armor stacks to the front line, Martin's going to have a really good time in this game. Because they now have Infinity Edge on Caitlyn with max rank Blood Boil, he's a big terror here.
Clankey D just shielding out, knowing exactly that those rockets were about to come into his face, and covered it off the Void Spikes. So, we did see the bottom wave getting cleaned out there. Currently 190 to 190 CS, very much even between both AD carries. The build's very different though, Freak. Which one would you prefer, certainly on which champion?
Between the AD carries here, just generally speaking, Infinity Edge is a much higher DPS item. With equal gold, you get past, you know, the 3,000 gold mark where you finish Bloodthirst. You get to like the 5, 6, 7, 8,000 gold mark. Infinity Edge was always the better component of an AD carries build.
But of course, we do have a 4-0-2 Brunch. He's managed to get that static Jiv complete. And like you mentioned, Last Whisper will be coming with him in a moment. He's got that gold advantage. It's just mounting up to almost 1,000 gold difference between the two AD carriers. 1,000 gold difference, though, or over 1,000 gold difference, I should say, for Mega Zero. Very much compete. The two mid laners actually pretty even between those two. And the support's actually almost 1,000 difference for LEB currently, who obviously, he also, you know, he hasn't bothered with any GP for 10 items. He
just-
went
nope.
straight for the Sightstone really early on, and now he's got the Bulwark complete.
And that is a really, really cool option there because it's just so good against what MRN is sort of trying to do. Their sort of early game power is very magic-based. Oh, Clayky D's getting caught.
Clayky D's getting caught. You can see the leap coming through. Tries to get the Felix off. The taunt, though, is enough. Clayky D is not going to be able to walk away from this one. He's going to get deleted by Chupa. And Chupa managing to pick up his second kill. He kind of needs more kills to get going. He has completed that last Whisper, but he's got boots and mobility. That's interesting.
Boots mobility, I've seen that before on AP mid Scion a long time ago, where your goal was to wave clear and then go be Scion mobile, which meant go run around the map really, really fast and find people to kill. And that's kind of what he's doing, is he's being sort of the Kha'Zix mobile, where his goal is to clear out, which is what the Void Spike's upgrade is for. Basically, you wave clear so easily with that evolution, and then it's like, go find someone and kill it. Go find someone and kill it. Clayky D, obviously not able to withstand that when Loud Mortis shows up with his hand united. The spell shield is not enough. If he finds Heartbeat, if he finds Echo, those are all going to be killed.
I think the Brunch Club, we're looking at the situation now, we're like, this might be a base race the way things are stacking up. I was like, Nunu Kate top, hold on a minute with Mega Zero. I was like, wait a minute, what is going to happen here? But the Brunch Club instead turn it into a dragon and successfully keep their gold lead going. But the gold is still very close between these two. Freak 5-3 the kill, the Terrars 9-6 the kills, and just 2,000 gold between the teams. Definitely still very even, very much in between the two teams. What do you give this when it comes to a full-on 5v5? We haven't really quite seen that yet.
A full-on 5v5, I like MRN's chances more. They've got a little bit better sort of team fighting champions. Brunch Club is very good at assassination. They're very good in the mid game and sort of spread out fights or catch people around Dragon or sort of baiting people and ward sweeping. But in a 5-on-5, you've got Nocturne Orianna for ridiculously good initiation. You've got a Caitlyn that's going to be very hard to reach with Blood Boil and good items.
Well, as it stands, both brothers, we highlighted Clayky D and Nick Wu. They both had 4 deaths apiece.
The pressure's on, man. The pressure beating your brother's too much. To be fair, he did get first blood on his brother, so Clayky D has the spiritual edge here.
He does. He's 1-4-1 at least, and 0-4-0 for Nick Wu. So maybe we've overvamped these guys, and they are now feeding. So feeders of the team are the brothers Smith.
Indeed, the brother Smith. So actually, interestingly, Nick Wu, he's not going for that Black Cleaver though. He's itemizing right towards the third last Whisper on the team. You know, again, I expected to see one. There's a final actually evolution coming out from Chuper. Evolves the ultimate. I think we've seen the same evolution path every single time.
There's not many that go for the Q.
It's not. It's a little bit harder to get because when you get towards that late game status, it's harder to get someone isolated because you tend to group up a bit more. And because of doing % max health damage, you don't need % max health in lane because they don't have that much health, and so it's kind of a late game evolution, but at the same time, you don't get much out of it.
Well, and also the fact that ultimately the ultimate on Chupa, you use that, and it gives you a 40% damage reduction, something like that. So and you can use it 3 times.
And you get an extra activation, exactly.
Yeah, it
so
gives you the stealth, etc. It's
gives you a
far
lot
more beneficial than the Q, which is, you know, it's
in the ideal situation is more damage, but you don't get that very often.
Well, the ideal situation is you kill Rengar, get the head, and get the 4th evolution.
Yes, that is the ideal situation.
That would be the ideal situation. I'm not even sure that works on ranked, actually. On tournament.
It would.
It would? You think it would? Okay, we'll find out soon enough. And there's going to be paranoia on towards Nick Wu. Nick Wu getting caught out. Oh, the fear just turning him around. Tries to avoid the damage, but wow, he just got popped. They're going to turn this in towards a Baron because Loudamon is down the bottom. He's trying to tank it out there. You can see round the side, actually, we do have Brunch well out of position. He's just off to the left of our screen right now. He's going to sort of creeping his way in. We are going to see Chupa. Chupa coming in towards Mega Zero. The feast comes down. Chupa getting taken down very low. They're going to leap in towards Baron, but Chupa gets deleted already. There's going to be the absolute Zero cleaning it out there. They do manage to consume on towards the Baron. The Baron going down. Sonic Shockwave, I should say, catching out Chupa there. And now Brunch is in trouble. Brunch is trying to get away. He gets scored out. MRN come out really strong here. They do manage to pick up 4 for 1, and now you can see Loudamon is the last man standing. Are they just going to turn and burn straight to base?
That's going to be... It's actually possible. They've got minions there right now, and it was a really good example of MRN keeping the tempo up. They knew they had quite a bit of time before Nick Wu respawned, and wanted to use that time of a 5-on-4.
This is delaying them. What are they doing?
Well, you're right. Well, they do want to go back for items before they really push in. A couple of them are low on health. They're missing most of their cooldowns. They've got a big chunk of gold for items. They're okay to kill a lot of Mortis and just fight a 5-on-4.
They're slowly slowing him down. He uses his flash and he's got away anyway.
All right, well,
That's
now it's
kind of
time
like
for
30,
items.
40 seconds of Baron wasted there.
They really let the rest of Brunch Club respawn there, and they did. They're 1 minute through their 4-minute Baron timer. So yes, you're absolutely right, they lost some Baron. Regardless, they did need to go back for items at some point, so they've done that now. Now it's time for the pressure. Now MRN is going to be expected to take, I'm going to guess, at least 2 turrets here.
And look at the gold, ladies and gentlemen. 100 gold between the two teams. 10-10 in kills, 5-3 in turrets. Brunch Club technically with the advantage because they have the more turrets, but obviously with the Baron buff you would expect MRN to come through. And Nick Wu, he's just not been able to do a thing so far. That assassin of Zed we've seen so strong in previous games, but as it stands, they're focusing him so heavily, you see the feast come down the moment he gets close.
Exactly, you're basically seeing Mega Zero play so perfectly that Shogath, we're really being shown why he's so popular. A 3-second area of effect silence really shuts down a lot of these twitchy assassin champions who rely on their abilities and quick mobility. Nick Wu and Chupa especially get really hurt when you silence them for a long time.
Everybody's staying so separated to avoid that shockwave. MRN playing it safe here. They're going to steal away the blue. Blue is not available currently. Dragon will be up in a minute's time. Instead, they're just saying, look, there's an outer turret. Let's just take that. Let's push this bottom wave. Let's clean house. Instead of trying to fight for this inner turret currently, let's just take a big advantage from this.
And they're going to go ahead and go for that advantage realistically. There's their first turret, and of course they know that Brunch Club is not going to really like fighting the 5-on-5.
He's going to... I thought LEB was just going to stroll on around that corner. I was like, what are you doing, man? Mega Zero, of course, could tank this for days, and he will do, but Brunch Club are going to come in. Is it going to be enough? Wow, Louder Mortis can't even get close to that. That Echo Ball did so much damage to Louder Mortis. He must have next to no magic resist. Yes, he doesn't. They're going to dive in. It's Chupa they've gone for, though. Chupa, of course, on Kha'Zix. There it is. The feast going down on him. Let's see how this gets down on towards LEB. Brunch also, but it's going to be a kill for Louder Mortis. They do manage to get on towards Echo. Nick Wu in pursuit as well. They have managed to catch them out there. Remember, this is still a Baron up MRN team that is being pushed away. Louder Mortis comes around the side. Nick Wu avoids the damage. Clicky D comes in. She's like, I see you. And they are going to back away from this one. Louder Mortis turns back in there. Is the rest of the team want to fight this one? They're in a great position. There's the Rupture coming down, but I'm not too sure whether March should have turned on this one. Claky D now going to get targeted. He's going to get poked down. Brunch picks that one up, and that was a mistake to turn around.
And that was actually 2 mistakes kind of in a row on that fight. In the very beginning, MRN, the front line, ran up and left and chased, I think they chased Louder Mortis, but the problem is they have Dragon is just theirs on the back of that one, pretty free one.
Rupture was so close to picking that up.
Yeah, Louder Mortis has Smite though. Rupture will not outdamage Smite. I trust Louder Mortis there. He's got that one. But so MRN was chasing down Shen, and you saw the front line just dogpile down onto Echo and dogpile down onto Heartbeat. Heartbeat had to flash over the wall and survive with like 200 health and had to leave the battle. The only 2 ranged champions on MRN were immediately shut out of the fight and had to just straight up leave. They got the free kill there onto Echo, and then Brunch Club was like, you don't have damage anymore, we will chase you happily. And Louder Mortis did a very good job baiting them back into a battle.
And that seems to be the issue, that Brunch Club, once you focus on, well actually, they focused, instead of Nick Wu, which they've been focused on so many times, they focused on Chupa this time. And everybody else went, well, you're on there, we're all going to come around here straight away. So the big damage dealer, or not so much damage dealer, that big brick wall of Mega Zero, although interesting seeing Mega Zero picking up the needlessly large rod now.
I saw that, yeah, he's going for a bit of early, I shouldn't say early at this point, it's 32 minutes in, but he's going ability power. Thing is, he's at the point where he's not really touchable anymore. He hasn't died, so he's at 6 feast stacks and he's been there for a while. So he's not like trying to catch up with health, he just is a tanky guy. And he's got Shrellias on top of that, he's got the Home Guard Ninja Tabby. No one's going to focus Mega Zero. The damage output from TBC is deliberate. They won't accidentally hit Mega Zero, and they're good enough to not purposely hit Mega Zero. So he's done buying tanky for a while. He's there to build some damage output, put himself back into relevance in this fight. Again, his main champions that we saw through the group stage, Aurelia and Riven, were big damage threats. He's trying to get back into that role.
He's going to get back in that role, and it's going to make that feast do a heck of a lot of damage right now. Brunch clearing out the wards around about that Baron. Baron, of course, is down currently. He's going to be up in 1.5 minutes, so we'll keep our eye on that one. Oh, MRN pushing along the top wave, and Louder Mortis out of position. Claky D is going to come around. It is only going to be Chupa that's anywhere near this one. They're going to pick up a free turret here.
It's the Blood-Boiled Caitlyn, man. They've got a tanky Mega Zero who took almost no damage thanks to Command Protect from Orianna. So They're going to be happy to keep spinning this up. They're going to wait to see that ultimate from that Immortus and then get out of dodge when it shows. There's the flash ult.
There's the crescendo. It's Echo's going to be the target. Echo, you have to use the Zonya's Hourglass. Nick Wu gets dropped straight away. There goes Echo as well. He managed to get taken down. Leaping across there. Chupa gets one, gets two, leaps back across, gets Atomic as well. All over the shot. They're diving in. He's got the Quadra. Can he get the Penta? He needs to try and find Mega Zero.
He's
but
been
Mega
spotted.
Zero
They
is
saw
hiding.
him.
He's spotted him. He's just across.
Penta kill!
Comes out from Chupa and he just leaps across once again just because he can.
Oh man, Chuper, nice play there. That was the worry. Would he get the resets? Echo, a little bit too far forward. That was the first reset, and they went forward and forward and forward, and Chupa just dunked on some people.
Absolutely beautiful dunking from the Brunch Club there. And well, Chupa, he's had to wait his time for that. He's been having problems trying to get involved, but he picked his moment perfectly there to get in. Nick Wu was the focus of the target, but there is the inhibitor going down. The Baron is about to spawn in 5 seconds time. Everybody's going to base, and it's back to fighting for Baron.
Well, if Marn learned anything from Fear, it's 5 home guard boots on a rush outside the base. Looks like that won't be the situation this time, but Marn is at the very least prepared to defend here. They're down 4,000 gold, which isn't too bad because you've still got a pretty happy situation for Caitlyn. In specific gold, it's a 12,500 gold Caitlyn versus a 13,500 gold from Ezreal. But you add Blood Bullet to that equation, and Caitlyn is a bigger threat than Ezreal in general in this fight. But it's not Ezreal that's the big threat though, it's Nick Wu and Chuper together, and they're just contributing so much damage that it is very hard for Heartbeat to survive. We talked about this in the pregame. Nunu cannot keep an AD carry alive. The only one who can on this team is going to be Echo on Orianna. He's got to play a little bit farther back and save Heartbeat. Command Protect, put down a Shockwave, put down Dissonance, let Heartbeat kite. That's how they win this fight.
And that seemed to be the problem in the last fight, because he was the first one by the turret. Way too far forward, Echo there. Actually caught out of position. Nick Wu, wow! Took a bite out of his shoulder there, Nick Wu. Just has to stroll away. He's like, damn, that big dino hurts. And that was, of course, the first death that Mega Zero has had. Didn't really have a big kill wave, though, so wasn't a giant amount of Mega Bonus gold. But Mega Bonus, not even sure that's a word, but I just made it one. And Mega Zero is clearing out the Baron area, but, well, the Brunch Club are not interested. They're just going to run straight in for it. They're going for Claky D. He delayed the using the Void Spikes there. Now he gets the slowdown, but the Paranoia was just enough. It wasn't Paranoia, it was the Fear Leash. It was just enough to keep him away.
Unspeakable Horror, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Yes. Got it right. It's darkness, Jat. The spell is darkness. Okay.
Screw you. That's all I can say off the back of that one.
Cheeky you are.
I am very cheeky. I haven't used cheeky at all this tournament. I maybe have to get in there. Here comes Stan United from Chupa. They are going to go for the Baron, but the question is, can Mega Man get involved? Man are coming in there. Mega Zero is a long way away from this fight, so it's going to be a 4v5 to start with. There's the Paranoia. Who's he going to go for? He went towards Heartbeat. Heartbeat cleanses it off. True Shot Barrage completely missing across there. And here comes Mega Zero into the fight. The Rupture hits 4 members of the Brunch Club. They're going to turn this one around. Chupa's trying to get some damage down. Clanky D very low. Chupa gets exhausted. Everybody else is backing away. We have seen Echo go down, and Brunch is trying to clean up. There's going to be Nick Wu picking one up. There's Nick Wu picking a second. And Brunch picks up a third. Nick Wu picks up a third. Triple kill. And that is the ace. And that is surely the game for the Brunch Club.
They're just going to move on in. I watched Heartbeat that whole fight because that's kind of what the fight was about, was how well can the AD carry do. First of all, Echo, look at that Shockwave cooldown. Still up. Could not use it all fight. He died so very fast. Heartbeat kited well. A good absolute zero from Atomic N, but it was not enough. The Assassins, that front line, Brunch Club, making it happen. 1-0. These guys are nearly there.
And look at the tension even there, just winning that. You can see Nick Wu just picked up the triple there. Laudamonis is happy, but Nick Wu's going to be feeling that pressure. He did not have a great game. He was kind of pressured to start with, but everybody else, it smiles to begin with. They are one game away, Freak, one game away from making it into the Season 3 tournament. One of these teams are going to have a dream come true.
One of these teams are definitely going to have a dream come true, and one of these teams tomorrow as well. We've got the last 2 slots on the line, and the Brunch Club are one Nexus away from being the 7th Season 3 team in North America.
And we got to see our 4th pentakill of the tournament. And let's take a look at that pentakill. and just take us through it.
All right, we're going to watch especially for Trooper here. There's a great initiation. Look at Echo getting caught out in front. So Trooper's got the Stand United shield on him. Not a problem. Gets Echo first. Then he looks forward. What's in front? Jumps immediately past them. Says no. Heartbeat. Atomic N goes for the squishy ones first. Notice how Cho'Gath is last. The jungler is second to last. He goes for the squishy ones first. You pick your targets as an assassin. And Megawatt a little bit too far. He got out of the brush right there and spotted by that ward. That wouldn't have been a pentakill otherwise.
It wouldn't have been a pentakill otherwise, but it was, and it was another fantastic one. The first, I guess you could say bruiser pentakill, because they've always been AD carries that you'll normally pick it up, so it's always nice to see something different.
And one Anivia.
Yes,
Echo.
of
I
course.
think, no, it wasn't Echo. It
That
was Shifter.
It was, but it was kind of cheating towards the end, wasn't it?
I mean, they had to dive into the fountain and whatnot. I think his team let him get it.
Yeah, I suppose most of them have been actually within the fountain area, but that's the first one legitimately defending.
I was actually walking by them, like, as they were pushing into the base, and I just hear them yell, like, get the pentakill, and they're like coaxing him on to make sure he gets it.
Make sure he hits that pentakill. Well, ladies and gentlemen, after the break, we'll see game 2. It is going to be Team Marn versus the Brunch Club. One more win would automatically put the Brunch Club in our final Season 3 spot for today. Of course, we'll be right back live from Los Angeles. The studios here, the brand new studios. Don't go anywhere.